Have you ever asked yourself, is this a good job or a God-aligned job? Now, just because a job is good, it doesn't mean that it's right for you in this season. If you're weighing opportunities and feeling conflicted, this little conversation is for you. Many women feel pressure to say yes quickly because of rejection, because they've been applying, putting out job applications, doing things that over and over and over again, and they're just tired of the rejection. They're just tired of not earning what they need to earn. They're behind in their bills. A lot of different things can influence that opportunity or influence your decision making, and you just say yes because, okay, I don't know when I'm going to get another opportunity. But the urgency is not the same as discernment. And personally, I've been in that situation. I've taken a job. I was chasing after the dollars, thinking, okay, this is going to be great. That's going to be a perfect job for me, doing something similar, working for the head administrator in that department. And at that particular job, I was working for the head man. And I took that opportunity, but I did not discern if it was really the right position for me. Eventually, things turned ugly. Things got sour. I ended up, not being demoted, but having my job responsibilities changed to the point where it was just an awful place to be. And then I was crying out to the Lord, why, God? Because I didn't understand. I took this opportunity. I'm making more money. And now look at what's happening. I'm crying out to God. I'm complaining and doing all these things. And then God, in my prayer time and in my complaining and my quiet time, God said, I didn't put you here. You put your own self here. And that just stopped me cold. And I was like, okay, then what do we do about this? And in that season of making that, jump into that opportunity that really was not aligned with what God had for my life. And in hindsight, I just really should have stayed where I was until God had decided to prompt me to move. I had to take a step back, take a job with lesser pay, but God turned the season around for me, because I was willing to be obedient and take a step back. I'm not saying that that's your situation, but I wasn't aligned with God. I wasn't where I was supposed to be at that time, just chasing after the wrong thing. Now in Colossians chapter 3, verse 15, now I thought I had peace, but I really didn't. I was just chasing after more money. And I did get that, but I did not get peace. And in Colossians chapter 3, verse 15, it says, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. So the point here is to let the peace of God rule in our hearts. And if it's a good job, that's great. Is it a God-aligned job? That will be even better. So we have to let the peace of God rule in our hearts and give us that this is the right place for me when we accept those job responsibilities, really no matter how long it's been, because we jump into that, what did they used to say, from the frying pan into the fire. And that's where I was. I was like in the fire. This was awful. And I had to drive to this place every day, and I had to look at these people every day and feel some kind of way because I stepped out in my own, what I thought was what God had. I don't even remember asking God at that point, but I asked him when it got ugly. And sometimes that's what we do after the fact. I'm crying out to God, asking him why, and he gave me the answer. So I had to repent and just keep moving. You got to keep moving when you make those kind of mistakes. You just keep going. You can't reverse it. You just have to get back in alignment with what God has for you. So it could be a good job or it could be a God-aligned job. I believe where I'm doing that right now is God-aligned because I have peace about it. I enjoy doing what I do. Peace is like almost It's a signal. It's something. It's a force. Peace is like a force, and it envelops us, and we can have that peace that passes all understanding in those situations and circumstances when we haven't heard back, or we feel ghosted in these job applications, or we get so far within the process and then we still get the rejection. Especially with the online things that go on and the ATS, those kind of resumes, all of that stuff can be very disappointing and discouraging. So we just jump at anything. Well, I better just take something and then I'll just let it be a survival job. Well, it can be a survival job for about 2 months, and then you know you're in the wrong place. God will give you peace with that job. Just keep on pressing. And I don't want to say easier said than done, because sometimes we do have to take survival jobs. The job that I went to after that particular job, because I was making this much money, I had to take a survival job, but I had to take the job that God opened the door for me. And when I got into that position, promotion was there for me, and I ended up just, even more, making more money than I was making at the other job that I was unhappy at. So if I had just listened to God, I probably would have stayed where I was, and then it was time to move. He would have said, okay, move. Now, in my next move, I made sure that I was hearing from God and that I had peace about the step that I was taking. And then God works it out. It might not always be ideal, but every life isn't always ideal. And an alignment, when you talk about being in a job that's aligned with what God has for your life, it feels steady. You don't feel frantic. You don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? You don't feel disorganized. You have a certain peace about you, and you know what you're doing. When God leads us, it produces clarity and not confusion. A God-aligned job really supports who you are becoming, not so much who you were in the past, not who you used to be. You're taking those skills, you're moving those skills, you're continuing to align what you already know and the wisdom that you have. You're combining it with where you're going. You're not throwing away a life, a career that you've already put many years into. You're taking all of those things with you, and it's not baggage. It's the thing that God has built into you to be a blessing to that next level, into that next career, into that next job, whatever it is. God is not going to say, okay, you're done with that. Let's go on to this. Let's do this. To forget about that. That's not God. No, take everything that you've learned, all the wisdom that you have with you to that next thing. And God will show you how to incorporate that with you. So it is God aligning you and taking you on a next journey to that next level. And it should be a blessing to you. And when I say who you used to be, it's not who you used to be. You just don't want to take all that negativity or any of those things that, well, I left this because they were treating me this kind of way type of attitude. No, you left because God said go. And if God said go, He's opening a door for you somewhere. We get stuck sometimes. We'll quit a job or leave a job with discontent without actually taking it to the fullness of its use in our lives. If you can kind of understand what I'm saying. So before you decide on taking that job, just ask, does this moving me towards peace or pressure? Now, when you say yes, if it's going to be, if you got doubts, then you got that, guessing kind of thing going on. You don't want that. You don't want to be guessing. You want to say, yeah, okay, I'll do this. And sometimes you will have maybe just a little bit of challenge because you might not know how to do everything that they may be requiring of you. But God is going to anoint you. He's going to give you the wisdom that you need. And what you don't know, you know how to learn. Even if it's something that you have to learn on the side. Let it be a job that God has for you. Some of you just are so battered and bruised up right now that it's just hard to see next week. What am I going to do now? Especially in the seasons and the days and the times that we live in, it can be a lot of pressure. No money can be pressure. It is pressure. I'm not going to say it can be, it is. When you have children, you have rent to pay, you have things that you have to do. And as I mentioned before, the job that I went into next was a survival job, but I had to get out of there. But God. So have faith in God. Let that peace be the driving force of your decision. It might look good on the outside. They might paint an excellent picture, but you get in there and it's just not a good situation. And then you know it when you get in there, then you don't want to quit because you're embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. You come up with all kind of stories and you're miserable. Your heart inside, your insides are miserable. And we wonder why we have a headache every day. Oh, we're tired, or we don't feel like getting up. Oh, this job, blah, blah, blah. It was all that in the bag of chips when you said yes. But then when you got in there and you discern what was going on, it's not going to be, you don't have the peace about it anymore. So trust God in this movement. And if you need that help, if you need some clarity about where you want to go, you can download my free guide. It's just click on the link in the description and just go take a look at it. You don't even have to answer all of the questions. Just start somewhere to make sure that you are not just in a good job, but in a God-aligned job. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about why being overqualified, it might actually be an advantage. Sometimes we look at it as people think, oh, well, they're going to think I'm overqualified. No, you think you overqualified. Let's see what we can do and how we can make that and take that to be an advantage for you. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and you have a great one.